Okay, a narrative nonfiction story gives factual information, but it's telling a true story. So it's being told like there are characters in the story, but it is based upon true facts and a true story. Okay, so we're going to read The Flag Maker. It was 1812. Remember, we like to circle dates as we read nonfiction or narrative nonfiction. It was 1812 and the United States was at war with Britain. A country at war needed plenty of flags. In Baltimore, a 12-year-old girl named Caroline Pickersgill and her mother Mary made flags. Caroline and her mother sewed flags so the militia and cavalry officers could direct their men during battles on land. They sewed flags so that Navy ships could communicate with each other during battles at sea. Ooh, so I think they're telling me a list of reasons why. So I'm going to put a number 1 here. Sewed flags so the militia and cavalry could direct their men during battle. The second reason was they sewed flags so that Navy ships could communicate with each other during battles at sea. Number 3, they sewed flags for the privateers that attacked British ships. But no matter how many flags they made and no matter how many battles the Americans fought, the Americans could not defeat the British. So I'm going to put why they sewed flags. Those are the reasons. Okay, so here they are. She's helping her mother. One summer day, Caroline and her mother welcomed 3 military officers to their flag shop. 3 military officers. The men ordered an American flag from Fort McHenry, the fort guarding the waters near Baltimore. The flag must be so large that the British will have no trouble seeing it from a distance. So they ordered a very large flag. Excited, Caroline and her mother set to work right away. Out of wool bunting, they cut pieces of broad, that means wide, red and white stripes. They cut a large field of dark blue. They cut white cotton stars. So they are cutting out, oops, gotta double my T, cutting out the pieces for the flag. Look, they're having to even sew by candlelight, it looks like, which tells me that for some reason it's dark. So I'm making an inference here. I haven't even read on yet, but I'm making an inference, meaning I'm putting together what I know in my head, my schema, and what I see on the page this time, the clues I see, to figure something out. So I'm going to read and see why. Day after day, they sewed stitch after stitch, red stripe after white stripe, star after star. Caroline's grandmother and cousins helped. So did her mother's slave. Her house servant, too. Night after night, they worked by candlelight long past bedtime. Oh, I was right. They are sewing day and night now. So maybe I'm going to write that over here. Sewing day and night. And over here, I'm going to put lots of people helping, because it said they had all those people they got to help them. The wool bunting itched, the needles pricked. Caroline's fingers ached and her eyes felt gritty and sore. Gritty means rough and itchy, rough and sandy. But inch by inch, they sewed until the flag spilled over their laps and lay in folds on the floor. So all of this part right here, it's Caroline. It's hard work for her, but she keeps doing it. So she feels like it is hard work. I mean, it's itchy. The needle keeps pricking, meaning poking her fingers. Her hands hurt. Her eyes are sore because she keeps staring day and night. So even though it's hard work, she seems to be a hard worker. Soon the flag outgrew the sewing room. They carried it to a large malt house. Ooh, they had to move locations. Look at that picture. They had to move into this big, giant, like warehouse looking thing. They spread out the flag on the malt house floor, and they sewed still more. Finally, after 6 long weeks, the last star was sewn into place. So what does that tell us? After 6 long weeks, it took 6 weeks to make the flag. The last threads were snipped and knotted. From hoist to fly, it was the largest flag Caroline had ever seen. I'm gonna underline that. Largest flag. That's important. So we can kind of start to see, okay, this is the village where they all live, the people, okay, along the water. Here's the harbor, the little part of water that comes into the land, okay, and I want you to look over here. What do you see flying there now? Do you see that flag? Go ahead and circle it. That must be Fort McHenry. So we're gonna write that there. Fort McHenry. The flag was delivered to Fort McHenry, where soldiers raised it high above the ramparts. Each day, Caroline looked for her flag as it waved over the fort. It looked tiny in the distance, but she felt proud. So I know she's feeling proud that she helped make that. Okay. I would think that if the flag is flying, that means that the other country has not come and defeated them yet, that they are still safe if their flag is flying. That's why she's watching for it. Over the next year, wow, it's been a year, the flag shop grew even busier. Caroline and her mother sewed more flags. The Americans fought more battles, yet they could not defeat the British once and for all, and so a difficult year passed. 1 year passed. So you can see, here's the village. There's your water out there. Okay, let's see what's happening. I see people armed. Okay, let's see what's gonna happen here. Early one August morning, a horse clattered down the Baltimore streets. "British sails!" its rider shouted, "in the Chesapeake Bay." Oh, that tells me British sails means that there are British boats close. So I'm gonna write that up here. British boats close, and those are their enemies. Caroline knew that British ships meant one thing: invasion. They're coming to get them. All over Baltimore, church bells clanged, calling militiamen to arms. Men and boys shouldered long muskets and lined up in the parade grounds. A snare drum rolled, a bugle flared, a commander shouted, "Forward march!" The militiamen tramped off to rout the British. All that day, Caroline tried to go about her work. She sewed, she swept, she looked for her flag and waited for news. She swept and sewed and waited still more. The next day, Caroline heard a low rumble like a distant thunderstorm. So they just, right here, a low rumble like a distant thunderstorm. I don't think it's a real thunder. I think those are like the cannons going off in the distance, part of the war. Ah, cannons. She whispered a prayer for the men. Later, terrible news was again shouted in the streets. The Americans had fought a battle and lost. The British troops were headed to destroy Washington. I remember where Washington was, where the capital is and everything. That night, men, women, and children spilled out onto rooftops. They watched the sky over Washington. It glowed an eerie orange. The British were burning the Capitol. I'm going to underline that. They burned the Capitol building. We can make a connection to our previous story. Hold on, let's see if I can find it. Here we go. American places and American ideals. Okay, do you see the Capitol building right here? They burned it down. Okay. Caroline looked out across the dark harbor towards Fort McHenry. She couldn't see the flag, but she trusted it was there. Baltimore prepared to defend itself. Around the city, men dug trenches to build earthworks. Shovels scraped and clinked. Dirt flew. Women and children carried biscuits and sweet tea to the volunteers. So they were trying to feed them to keep them awake and not starving out there while they were trying to defend them from the enemy. In the channel near Fort McHenry, men sunk small ships and barges to block the harbor. Women and children tore soft cloths into bandages. Men moved gunboats into position, ready to fire on British ships. So everyone, even the kids, are working. So everyone is helping. We're going to read 2 more pages, and then you are going to finish the rest of the story. It's only a few more pages after that. Once more, Baltimore waited. A day, a week, 2 weeks. The city held its breath and went to church and went to work and waited for the British to strike. Early one September morning, a loud roar rocked the flag shop. Caroline rushed to the window. British ships were bombing Fort McHenry. Remember, that was just outside of their village. Let's see if we can find that page. Oh, one more. Maybe again. Okay, skipped it. Remember, here's their village where the flag shop is. Fort McHenry is just on this little peninsula piece out here. Okay, and they're already that close now. Fort McHenry's guns blazed back. Hour after hour, bombs burst louder than thunder. So we know that the British are close. Okay. Hour after hour, rockets screamed and flashed brighter than lightning. The shop trembled and shook. The streets turned black with smoke. The smell of burnt powder filled the air. The British ships crept closer and closer. So imagine how she's feeling right now. Okay, you are going to finish. You're going to read this page and you can kind of see what's going on. And then you're going to read this page. And then you're going to finish this last page right here. And then I want you to answer these 3 questions. You can do these in short answer if you want. You're going to, what do the illustrations or drawings, not real photographs, drawings. How do they help you understand about making the flag on these 2 pages, few pages? Then you're going to read these pages. What details about preparing for the British attack are surprising? So what surprises you? What details show that how Caroline feels about the flag during key events in the section? So how does she feel about the flag? Okay, good job, guys.